A2TP podcast, episode 26. International Walton House. My co-host.
Your girl Tosh.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
No, how are you?
We'll get to that. A2TP podcast. We're back. Episode 26. How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there?
Well, at least y'all got a smile.
Just saying, how y'all doing out there? Hope y'all good. Hope y'all healthy. Hope y'all happy. We back, episode 26. Wows and woes. What you got?
That's my wow of the week. Couple. It's kind of opposite, but couple things. Just over the weekend, we enjoyed one day doing nothing. Like just absolutely nothing. Watching TV, like chilling, and it felt good. Like we are usually on the run, going here and there, whether it's, something big or small, an event, or just us doing our own thing. And it felt good just to chill and relax and kind of recharge and not do anything. So the weekend, was the wow, because that was good. And then we also went to the beach the next day, which, we still chilled, so that was good in of itself, and not, a whole bunch of hoopla. We hadn't been to the beach all summer last year, except for...
Well, it was COVID. Nobody was at the beach.
Yeah, well, some people still went, but you're right, we didn't go.
Those people got COVID. They're probably not even around.
That's so mean.
That's a different story.
That's so mean. But no, except for vacation, we went on vacation, but we usually hit up the beach a couple of times a month throughout the summer, so that felt good, just being at the beach. The water was freezing, but just chilling, and so the weekend was the wild moment. It felt good.
Woes.
I guess nothing specifically, I guess directly that impacts me, but kind of like what we talked about last week a little bit, just the city and hearing about all of the violence and death and kids being killed. And
who died?
No, I mean, not like, that's what I said, not anything directly, but it's just a lot of violence and hearing about.
So what, was you watching the news or something? Like, where did that come from?
No, I don't really watch the news. Just seeing it on social
Instagram.
media. Yeah, seeing it on social media. But, them posting, like, clips from the news of, like, 17 people shot in one night, like 4th of July weekend. And I know it's not just Philadelphia, because Chicago, of course, was, had crazy numbers as
like
well.
48 murders out there.
It's so, over
the weekend.
Not to say they don't matter, but seeing it happen in our city where we're from, it's bad. It's bad. And people always say, oh, it's been like this before, and I know that it has. Last year was the second highest murder rate. What was the highest murder rate in 30 years? The second highest of all time. So when people say, oh, it's been like this before, it has been a little bit worse, but now we're on path to exceed what was the worst. So it's just bad to see. So that was just the just hoping
like
that things change.
But it'll always, it won't ever be as bad as it used to be. I don't think. Well,
the numbers are showing that it is going to be, though.
But they've showed that before, though. They've showed that in areas and years that I grew up, that it was going to get worse.
No, I don't mean, I'm just talking about the sheer number of murders.
That's what I'm talking about, the murders per year.
Yeah, so last year was the second, and was the highest.
It was like 500 last year,
which was the highest in 30 years. So
right.
It's not since I was 10, you were 13. Which you think about that time period, it makes sense. That was like was 1990.
Right. So
now if we're on track to exceed last year and possibly exceed 1990, then this will be the worst year. It's just sad to see, and hopefully there's some kind of resolution. Don't know what that looks like or what it is. You remember when they did Operation Safe Street?
Yeah.
And we were out there like
we don't need that shit.
I think they do.
No, they don't. That shit consists of stop and frisk.
Minus the stop and frisk component, you need cops on every corner in these neighborhoods to hopefully fray some of the violence, making people a little fearful. Now, don't get me wrong, because you see stories about people shooting at cops. Like, that's crazy too. But hopefully it will, like you talked about, consequences and pain. Hopefully some people will fear the consequences of shooting if they see cops right there.
I don't think so, but I mean, it's something that they might think about putting cops back out there. I don't know what the crime rate was when cops was out there on every corner, but
But we know it wasn't as bad as it was last year because last year was the highest in 30 years.
yeah. But I mean, you got the adaptation of Chicago drill music, and Philadelphia has been one of the cities that's picked that up extremely. So it's a shame, but
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I think the music plays a part of it. I don't think it's just, I don't think people out here shooting each other just because of what they hear in music. I think it does play a part in it and changing the mentality and how they move and how they want to act and think.
then that's the reason why they're shooting each other. It's not like, I mean, obviously it's probably based over drugs and girls or money or something like that.
Or social media beef.
Yeah, but that's ultimately, okay, I'm looking like a pussy in front of my friend, so, you know, I gotta handle that like the raps and shit that I hear when, you know, motherfuckers be on you and, you know, all that kind of shit. That's all drill music. That's all ops and all that kind of shit.
It was a giveaway and cookout, something like that in West Philly, and 4 dudes shot 100 shots on a corner filled with kids and stuff. I think a couple people got shot, like hurt, and then 2 people actually got killed. It's just crazy time. So that was the woe. Again, I'm grateful, extremely grateful. It hasn't directly impacted our family, none of our friends that we know, but it's still close, you know.
So, makes you sad?
It makes me sad. I mean, I ain't walking around like boo-hooing, but I hope it changes. You know, it's just sad to see people going through so much turmoil and people, you know, somebody had posted something and I disagree. Had posted something on social media. She was saying, like, you know, people always talk about they want to move out of Philly, like that's going to stop the violence. People shoot everywhere. However, and I looked this up and I responded to her story and saying, where we live, from 2006 to 2019, you know how many murders it's been?
No.
Just guess.
2.
14. But you're talking about in 13 years, when as opposed to having a weekend where you have 17 murders. So let's not say, oh, moving out the city is not going to change anything. Yeah, it's not going to change the violence, but it can save your family. So,
but the point is right, though. I mean, just playing devil's advocate, they shoot everywhere. They just shoot less here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it can make a difference. Don't just say like, oh, that's not gonna make a difference if you move. Your odds of getting shot or one of your kids getting shot are much less outside of Philadelphia.
That's true. I'm just saying the statement is true. They shoot everywhere.
They do, but it still can.
They shoot less in some places, but they shoot everywhere. If
that
was the statement I'm not saying that it can't. Well, I'm acknowledging that it can. But the statement alone that they shoot everywhere is accurate. They shoot everywhere.
It is, but her comment was to say, like, it doesn't matter if you move, you still can get shot. Absolutely right.
That's what she said, or that's what you took from it?
That was the gist of her statement. But
is that what she said in quoting your?
No, I don't remember exactly what she said, but that was the gist of it, and saying like, oh, people saying just be, you know, oh, I want to move out of Philly because of the violence, like that's going to change anything. No, it's not going to change the violence, and yes, they shoot everywhere, but it does change. It does change something. It changes your odds of being shot or your kids being in harm's way.
It changes your odds of being shot, but they still shoot everywhere.
They do. But I'll take my chances with 14 murders in 13 years versus 14 murders in a weekend.
You can't. That's cool. I would take my chances with that too. But you can't act like you can't be one of the 14. You could be number 8. You could be number 11. So, I mean, if that statement alone is that what it is? Like they shoot everywhere, then that's on point. That's an accurate statement. You're always fighting with people on social media.
I mean, but I wasn't fighting with her. I knew her. Like, it wasn't like my 6 ABC rants. This is a person I was just commenting to her thing. Like, it does make a difference. Moving out of Philly can make a difference.
Did she say it can't make a difference?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, yeah. What was your wow?
Wow, I forgot all that you went into. Like,
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was talking too long.
Well, the wows and woes can be quick hitters, like bam, bam, bam. Like, you know.
I'll keep that in mind for next time. I apologize.
Wow was the beach. I enjoyed the beach. I enjoyed being out. I wish we would have went a little earlier, but I enjoyed being out in the sun, or not in the sun because I had the shade.
I like the sun.
Being on the beach. it got kind of fucking crowded and uncomfortable because you know, people packed it because it was the 4th of July. I didn't even realize going down there that it was the 4th of July.
Really?
I didn't. It was Sunday. It was like, okay, I thought 4th of July was Monday.
Oh, okay.
So driving down there, then it dawned on me like, damn, this is the 4th. So
Yeah,
that's why
it
the
was the
situation
actual
was like
4th,
that,
yeah.
and it just like mobbed out of nowhere. Woes. What was my woes? I didn't have no woes.
That's good.
I didn't have no woes, and if I did, I'll keep them to myself.
Oh.
But I don't have no woes. Glad I made it another week. Glad I am in good health. Glad you in good health. I don't have no woes.
That's good.
We had questions up this last week. We had questions up because we was talking about raising soft kids in our last episode a little bit, which kind of led to the questions to talk about this week. So question number 1 was, are parents raising soft kids by giving them the luxuries that they didn't have? So thoughts?
I don't necessarily think that they are raising, and I got one response too, because when I told people to go to your page, somebody responded to me. But nevertheless, I agree with it. So I don't think they're necessarily raising soft kids. I think that they may
You agree with what? What are you saying you agree with?
The person that responded, I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I agree they may be raising ungrateful kids, thoughtless kids, because the expectation and getting things because it creates an expectation and just in getting things that you know, as a kid to us probably we wouldn't have gotten as easily, or you know.
But that's something a little different though. I'm not talking about like the gratefulness or of a kid, like just them being soft or hard, like almost like street smarts in a sense, like them being tough kids, like, or, and that leads to the second question of, is there such thing as a soft kid?
Well, so to answer your question, I don't know. So no, I don't think that giving them the luxuries of life, I don't think necessarily makes them soft or hard, because you can give them all they want and then they still be in the streets, or you can give them all they want and coddle them and have them in the house where you restrict them from being in the streets. So I don't think there's a correlation between making them soft or hard and giving them the luxuries of life. I think that can breed other issues, but I don't think that will necessarily make them soft by giving them things.
The luxuries of the luxuries of life I'm talking about is not growing up where you grew up. If not having to do the things that you had to do. So I'm not talking about kids. If your kids are growing up where you grew up, then that probably doesn't apply to you. I'm talking about if you made things better for your kid where they didn't have to experience the things that you had to experience, that they have all the things that you didn't have. Are they going to be soft?
I mean, being in a different environment, yes, I think they would be softer.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't go to private schools, but your kid do. You didn't live in a affluent neighborhood, but your kids do. It's all that stuff that you're giving them. You didn't grow up with iPads and game consoles and iPhones at 11 years old. All this shit that you're giving them, I'm not talking about if they're grateful for it. That's a different conversation. Or is that making them soft because they have all the things that you didn't have, and you deem the way that you came up, it gave you some edge. You see that as, okay, this is what I needed to survive.
So I think it can, because if they're not in that same environment that you grew up in that hardened you, they don't have the need to be as hard. So they can be a little softer because it's less stressful where they are. You know, they can go and play basketball and not worry about niggas riding up and, you know, making everybody, you know, lay down and robbing them of their phones and stuff. Whereas growing up, you know, where we grew up, that might be a thing. You know, you at the basketball court, you gotta not only be playing ball, but keep your head on a swivel because you don't know who might ride up.
Right.
So it can.
So those are the things I'm talking about. Like,
you said luxury, so I was just thinking of it broader. So yes, it can, by, you know, wanting to give them a better life, but then I think depending on who the parent is, you can like sprinkle some of that hardness or toughen them up a little bit. But I don't think that somebody being raised in a more affluent area, having more exposure to better things and better programs and things that like that in life, doesn't mean they're going to be a punk, doesn't mean they're not going to know how to fight, doesn't mean they're not going to know how to defend themselves, but they're not going to have that same edge or roughness as somebody who grew up on the other side of the tracks,
yes,
as it's labeled.
They can be softened.
It can, yes, it definitely can soften them.
Okay, I agree. I think that if if a kid grows up with the parent, if the parent is deeming, this is what made me tough, this is what made me hard, and I think that it gave me my edge, you should have this in you, then yeah, you can be raising soft kids. And it's almost like you're trying to do a good thing, but in the end, if my kid's not going to be around this type of environment, then why does he need these attributes? Why does he need these smarts about him? Like, that was the other question is if what's the benefit of your kids being street smart if they're not going to be in the streets?
Yeah, but yeah, that's
a
that's
lot of people
good
say
point.
like you get your street smarts because you know how to point out bullshit. You know how to if it's women, you know how to deal with women. If it's men, you know how to deal with men. If you take that away from these kids who grow up with all this stuff and everything that they have, and they didn't have no hardships, like what hardships are you supposed to create to put that in them? Because like I said last week, your kids shouldn't have to sell drugs, or your kids shouldn't have to rob to support themselves. A girl shouldn't have to lay down and have sex with boys just to have some money in her pocket. Like all those things that we may have done, our kids shouldn't have to do. But that's what I mean by giving them those luxuries and all that. Does it change what we deem as what we want to see in our kids, or are they just soft?
So you touched on a couple different things, and I it made me think about different things. So my answer may be a little longer, just to give a heads up.
It's cool to answer long here. It's not a wow or a whoa. Wows or woes are quick hitters. I didn't mention that these were quick hitters.
Okay, I'll set my timer next time for the wows and woes.
No, I said anything about a goddamn timer.
For the first thing you mentioned, street smarts. Like, do you need street smarts if you're not for the street? But I think you gave a good point. You learn street smarts in a sense of how to maneuver, and like you said, how
in
to
the
be
streets.
Yeah, but that logic, like you have street smarts, you're not in the streets, but the knowledge that you gain from there helps you maneuver in life. Whether it's how to swoop around the block and get a good parking spot in the supermarket parking lot.
But just like they say, you can't learn football unless you play football. Like you have to practice football and learn how to play football. So you can't have what I have by me talking to you.
No, I understand.
How do you create that in a kid?
I'm getting there. So the street smarts that you learn, the expectation I would hope for most adults is that as you become an adult, you're no longer in the streets, but you use that knowledge and those skills that you acquired to maneuver through life. Whether you're making business deals, whether you are trying to, using it to raise your kids, using it in relationships, you use those street smarts there. So for a child that does not grow up in that area, then I think it's the parents' responsibility to help them learn those same skills. Yes, they're not going to have it. They're not going to learn it from a difficult situation, which is okay. I recently read something that said we have to stop saying our kids are going to get it from the mud like I did. No, that shouldn't be the expectation. We may have had to get it out the mud, but they don't need to get dirty and struggle like we did to be able to attain the same successes that we did. We should be able, because of our struggles, we want them to do better than us, but an easier way.
But the pushback.
But I'm sorry, but we still want to teach them how to maneuver, how to be people skills, and that might be, instead of from a street smarts, from a more psychological or analytical perspective, that they learn from book smarts. So you can still have some edge, and it's all about exposure too. You can still have some edge, and you can still learn how to maneuver in life without having been stuck up before, or without having, your earrings snatched before, or without, sitting on a corner and seeing drug deals happen and be able to peep out who's doing what. Like, you can still learn and have swag about you and have smarts about you and be able to handle your business efficiently and not be soft or be a punk or be a pushover without having to have got dirty and getting it out of the mud.
The pushback on that is for a person who's been through it. I don't agree with your answer wholeheartedly, because those experiences, like you don't get them through talking. I didn't listen. You didn't listen. I had to bump my head for me to learn what I learned in the street. So it's almost like you can't tell somebody, oh, you can't be walking around in this neighborhood with your iPod out and your Jordans on looking all sweet. You have to go through some stuff or be in that environment to feel that. I'm not saying you have to be stuck up or you have to have some hand-to-hand drug sales to understand what it is. But if you're not in that environment, then you don't know the feeling. And it can be told to you over and over again, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, this is how you're supposed to act. But if you're never placed in that environment, it's like somebody telling you how to play a sport. Like, I can tell you how to play basketball. You put the ball in the hoop, you dribble around, you try not to get the ball stolen. But unless you're playing basketball, you'll never learn. So just like we didn't listen, kids today, you have to anticipate that they don't listen. So just because us as parents have street smarts, you can't just say, I'm going to lecture my kids and they're not going to come from the mud. You have to keep in mind that if they didn't go through what I went through, or experience what I experienced, or been in that kind of environment that I removed them from, then they can't possibly be like me.
And that shouldn't be the goal, like, for them to be like you. Because do you want them to have the same trauma that we had?
No, you're going deeper, because it's not about the trauma. I'm talking about, do you just want your kids to be savvy and street smart?
Yes, but I would like for them to gain that, but with the understanding that, yes, they're not going to be like you because they didn't experience it. So they may not have and be just like you and be able to maneuver in the same way as you, but you want to be able to not lecture them, but come at them from a place like, look, I really did this. I really went through this. This really happened to me. And I'm telling you this. Now, yes, kids are still going to bump their heads. They're going to still want to touch the fire to prove them to themselves that it's hot. No matter if they raised in the burbs or the projects, they still are going to be hard-headed and not listen to everything. But I think depending on who the parent is and the methods that you use to instill that. Like you said, we didn't listen, and no shade to our parents. Look who our parents were. Like, they really wasn't, we didn't have that type of, we didn't have those parents that tried to school us about anything. It was kind of like, just do what I say because I said it. Like, we didn't have those parents. So I think it comes, what helps your children from not being so soft, because yes, they will be a little softer than you, but will help them not be so soft, is using your struggles and your hardship and the mud that you got it from, and instilling that into them. Now, if you just take them to the burbs and you just like, look, you in a good neighborhood, you got a good life, just do it, and you don't try, then no, they're not. They're either going to acclimate to the soft area that they're in, or they're going to try to get it on their own and make mistakes there, which is why, like, we had a neighbor who, he grew up in Jersey, a Jersey boy, but if you seen him, you would never knew, like, he was the good, quiet boy from the burbs that he was, because he tried to be like in street stuff.
But that's a kid who will be the epitome of non-street smart. Even if you take, like, our nephews, our two oldest nephews, okay, they didn't grow up in the streets per se, but would you say they have street smarts? Yes or no?
Not really.
Okay, because I was about to say not really. If either one of them was dropped off in the most worst neighborhoods in Philly, they would not survive.
No.
So what I'm saying is, she can, as his mom, she can say, okay, this is how you're supposed to move. As an aunt, you can say all this stuff, and he can grow up around all this kind of talk and influence and stuff he sees where he can pick up shit. But because he doesn't come from that, he can't be that. He can't maneuver in that.
But the good thing, I don't want him to be able to, because hopefully he never has to. But it doesn't mean that in the business
But that
world,
is street smarts, though, is what I'm saying. You're talking
no,
about
and I
something
agree,
different.
but that's what I'm saying. The skill, the street smarts that we learn is not to allow us to maneuver in the streets. It's so that we can translate that it's almost like we get a bonus. Like you go to school, I go to school, with two people, same age, whatever, same gender, they're in the same grade all their life. They're going to school, different environments. So the street smarts is kind of like a little bonus that you get from growing up in that hard environment.
But that's
the
hindsight,
same
though.
way, right? The same way that Becky in the Burbs, whose mom might have been sending her to science camp, she got a different kind of bonus because
Right.
she got that advantage. But it's not the street smarts that I'm not learning, or the street smarts to help me maneuver in the streets. That's that extra bonus of knowledge that I can take with me further in life and translate it to help me maneuver in life. So when
That's
we go
false,
back to
though,
our
babe. That's false. Because
How?
when you're 15 learning street smarts, you don't tell yourself this is for the corporate
No,
world.
no, I'm
this is
not-
for what I'm going to use later on in life. You're learning.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
You said
in hindsight, as an adult, right now, you as the person, the street smarts that you gained, that's what you're using it for. You're not using
Right,
it
but
to
what I'm
maneuver in
saying,
the
when
street.
I was learning, you said when you're learning street smarts, you use it to take on to your life. That's what you said. And when I'm saying when you're learning street smarts, you're a teenager and you're not thinking of I'm going to apply this later on in life. You're right. I agree. It is a bonus, but it's hindsight. You don't know that
I
until you
agree.
get older and realize, holy shit, this stuff that I learned, I can apply here. But when you're learning it, as you said, you don't have that.
No, I wasn't implying that that's what you at that moment you're thinking. Wow, me seeing this drug deal is gonna help me learn how to
So my
negotiate a
point
deal in the
is,
future.
when you're learning street smarts, it's to maneuver through the streets.
Right. Exactly. But the goal should be, once you're to eventually get out of the streets, but you still have that knowledge that helps you later. So what I'm saying with our nephews, they're never going to be in the streets and learn that. But it doesn't mean that they can't still learn other stuff that will help them maneuver in life. They'll never get that part.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we can't still help them achieve the same goals that we have through other exposure and lessons.
I heard everything you saying. I'm just saying when you're 15 and learning street smarts, there is no goal. You keep saying the goal is.
I'm okay. Yes,
There is no goal.
there isn't a goal, but at a certain point, I would think maybe
But
not
it's like
at 15.
it's like an aha moment. You become older and realize, oh, this shit I learned actually
Yes.
works. But I'm saying that you're saying it like the goal is to learn these street smarts and move on. That's not the goal when
That's
you're
not
15.
what I'm saying. It may come up. You may be receiving it that.
Well,
that's
that's what
not
you
how I
said.
mean it. No, I didn't.
You said the goal is to learn street
Well, that's
smarts
the
and
life
move
goal.
on.
That's not the goal that you're thinking at that point. No, that's not the goal in your mind. But in life, yes, in hindsight, as an adult, when you're, let's just say, I'm not going to even say like 19, because you're still you're young, you're a kid. But at 23, 25, the goal isn't to, use that street smarts to still be
If
maneuvering.
you've recognized it.
Hopefully by then.
If you've
Yeah.
recognized
Yeah.
it. That's all I'm saying. Something has to click for you to recognize that I have this thing that I can apply in
Right.
other areas of my life.
Right.
If it never comes about to you, then yeah, you won't apply it. And again, I'm just going by what you said, and you didn't say hindsight. You said the goal is to learn street smarts and apply it in other places. As a person who's learned street smarts, I didn't see that far. I learned, it was like, okay, I'm learning this so I can come outside.
Right.
That's the
I
only
agree.
reason why I'm learning this, so I can come outside and do what I need to do, go over there and go over here.
I agree with you, and I'm not saying that was the goal at 15. I think that, yes, raising your children in a different environment, they are going to be softer. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing, but it can be a negative thing if you don't take a hand in giving them those valuable lessons that you learn from other means, but trying to instill it in them. Are they going to receive all of it? No. Some things they will have to, a situation might have to happen. Not saying they got to get robbed or stuck up, but they may have to learn some things through other means and other experiences in life. But I think as parents, you can help them, but they're never going to be as hardened as you were.
And it's not something that you
Yeah.
should want. You should want to change their life and have them be a little softer than you. But
You should want
if
to.
you're, again, and this applies in two different ways, because if you if your kids are growing up where you grew up, then they might need the smarts that you needed to maneuver through those streets. But if they're not, then you know, why do they need to be that edgy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why do they need? But you know, it's some parents just deem that as this is what got me to where I'm at, and I know how to pick up bullshit, and I know how to maneuver through stuff, and it clicked to me that I could apply this stuff in corporate world or in friendships and social cues and shit like that. But if you never recognize that, then and those kids who grow up in affluent neighborhoods and away from bullies and shit like that, they don't know how to pick up social cues and interact with friends and things like that. So it stunts that part of them too.
But I think that is kind of a benefit that comes from like
or say something
having a parent like us, where like, yeah,
they don't know they're being offensive or something to another kid, and it's like, you know, if you come from where I come from, you will know you can't say that shit to other kids.
But I think that's where it's beneficial having let's say a parent like us or an aunt and uncle like us, where you may be all soft and pink. But I just had a talk with my niece last night, and her ears was probably burning because we don't talk soft and pink. Like, we talk real. Like, she 13, and you know, in her life, she's not in the streets to have girlfriends like that is talking where she hearing stuff like that. But having, like, you know, when we have family talks, even talking to our nephews, it ain't soft and pink. It ain't all soft and, so how are you? Like, so I think that's the benefit in that, where, yeah, they're not going to learn it just from you, but we're not tiptoeing around them.
No, you can't tiptoe around them. You got to tell them like it is, but you also have to anticipate that you didn't listen. So
yeah, definitely.
What the hell? They will tune you out. They won't listen. And when they do listen, it's almost because you got a phone call that you got to come get them, or it's too late because they in a situation that you tried to tell them about over and over. You might have told them 15 times, 20 times, but it's like you still ended up in that situation because you had to go through it.
And I think that's normal. I mean, again, not being a parent, and, you know, parents, y'all can chime in and let us know, to have a child where you like, this child gave me no issues, no problem. You probably just ain't know the stuff that they was doing. Like, you know, I think you just don't want it to be like,
the line until
you just don't want it to be to their detriment. You know, you gonna want to touch the fire, but don't set yourself on fire. You know, you gonna want to, you know, to burning the tips of your fingers, one thing, and wanting to see if the fire is hot. But when you burst in flames because you was that hard headed, that's when it's like, you know, what the hell.
But that's the thing. You don't know about the fire. That's you don't know how to tame it, and before you know it, you burst in flames, and you were looking for somebody to save you, and you can't. So we're having soft kids these days, and me myself, I had a girl, and I don't have a son, and I didn't. My daughter grew up with her mom, but she don't come from where I come from, but I still think she grew up in an area where she might have some street smarts. Little bit, but not as much as me, or, you know, like us just growing up in the 90s and shit where we was in the streets.
Right.
But I think she has friends and probably a circle where she can pick up, and then she's probably done her fair share of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like six in one hand.
But again, she didn't grow up robbing. She didn't grow up selling drugs. She didn't grow up, you know, all that kind of shit, prostituting herself, like, you know, shit like that. So it's like the girls that come from that have that edge, and we know how aloof these kids can be sometimes. They can seem like they have the street smarts, but
you know, that's one thing. It's like six in one hand, half dozen in the other. You want your kids to have a good life, even if it's not like you say, like, you know, Jada, she grew up in the city, in the hood, but her mom did her best to shield her so that, like, she wasn't just running amok like you might have been. So necessarily protecting them from the streets don't mean you have to move away somewhere, and you want to protect them, but you want it's I don't know, it's like it's a double-edged sword, because you want them to be able to experience some things and learn some things, but you also want to protect them. You know what I never understood about kids though, like, they want to have this like tough exterior when they don't have to, like, you know,
because it's peer pressure. It's being in a circle.
Oh, I'm from this area. Like, no, you're not.
It's being in a circle of your peers, and plus that pack mentality, like wanting to be a clique, and you know, and pack up and shit like that. So yeah, these group scenes hard. These girls talk shit. These guys fuck people up. So down with them.
What were some of the responses that you got to the question?
What question?
Are we raising soft kids by giving them the luxuries?
Obviously, I don't want to say nobody's names, but soft kids was no. Somebody, I mean, that doesn't help. Whoever that is, I mean, you know who you are. I don't want to say your name, but
well, you can say their name. I don't care if you say. I mean,
well, Hood Healer said no. But, why don't you, fucking elaborate a little bit? Like, no, but why? But I appreciate the interaction. I'm just sister said, kids today are spoiled and coddled too much. Everything is made too easy for them. So that's right along the lines of I'm thinking. It's a little easy, and you want it to be. Let's get that out there. You want it to be easier for your kids than it was for you, but it comes at a cost.
Why do parents feel like they don't want to tell their kids no to things that they know they probably should? Is it kind of like, I want to give you the things that I didn't have? And I'm talking about in terms of like material stuff.
Yeah, you want to give them the things that you didn't have, and you also want to be on a friendly basis with them. At a certain age, they can distance themselves and not have a relationship with you. And it might make sense to them at the time to do something like that, but you just want to be on a good basis with them. And if they're doing okay and not going to jail and not doing dumb shit, then okay. What the fuck? Queen Castle said in some cases yes. So yeah. I'm sure she got 5 kids, so I'm sure she got some.
She got some insight, yeah. And Queen Castle has 3. She actually 3 grown daughters.
Second question, does your kids need to be rough and street smart to learn to appreciate life? And Hood Healer again said, nope, not rough, just know how to stand up and speak up for themselves. Because me and don't know what that says. Might be a misspelled word. KHO, or some kind of.
Code. Her daughter's Cody.
Oh, because me and Code dad. Can't see the rest.
It cut off. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think it's like a letter limitation.
And then E said, not rough, but I still feel like some sense of street smarts are needed. Queen Castle again. No.
What was the question again? Do kids have to...
Does your kid need to be rough, street smart, just to learn to appreciate life?
Yeah, I don't think they have to, because again, you can learn
but I didn't ask the question like that.
You did.
No, I didn't. When you said appreciate, that's different because you start going into gratitude.
Nope, I'm going to show you because it was part of the caption here. Does your kid need to be rough and street smart to learn the appreciation of things?
So did you not reword that?
I said, because it's a letter limitation.
I'm just saying, why don't you just say when you're wrong? I don't understand.
Because it's a letter limitation.
Okay, fine. Just say I was wrong. It's a letter limitation. You have to
I
make
was wrong,
all these justifications.
I made a mistake. I love you.
Then she always does this. All this play, like just say I was wrong.
I made a mistake. I love you. It won't happen again.
Damn, it don't have to be all this justification. I ain't mad over it, but I know I'm right. I didn't ask the question that way. That's why you started with the gratitude stuff. But it's cool. I digress.
So to appreciate life and the appreciation of things.
Yeah, like that's different because you can go into saying, yeah, these iPads and shit like that, they ain't grateful for. A phone at 11, they ain't grateful. Jordans and shit every month, they ain't grateful for. That's a different thing. I'm just talking about the edginess.
But that's what you said, the appreciation of things. And I wrote appreciate life because I couldn't fit all those letters in the question.
Changes the question. Things in life are different.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
You're a little edgy. You all right?
Because you can never admit when you're wrong.
I'm admitting it. I had to. It wasn't my own volition. Instagram made me change it.
Okay, but you didn't say that in the beginning.
Forgot.
That's the problem. That's what you don't understand. That's the problem. You always try to justify your wrong action. Yes, your wrong actions. You can never just say, "Yeah, I'm wrong. Whatever. I fucked up," and move on. It's I'll do it, or whatever. That was on.
Mm-hmm.
You heard voices. I heard a little bit of voices too. So we raising soft kids, not hard kids. Kids don't need to be hard like us. Kids don't need to be traumatized like us. That's heavy shit to carry when you get older. So that's a good thing. We think along the same lines that kids will be softer, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Because they're in a softer environment, they shouldn't be hard, because then they're going to look like the crazy black kid who's beating up everybody.
Yeah, and I think it's up to you, because you can still teach your kid valuable lessons of how to appreciate things, and making them do chores, or school is still a priority, or just earning things, making them just earn things and not have everything given to them. That will help them to gain the appreciation. Teaching them how to, we said on one of the episodes a while back, like, if I say you need to get, before I get home, or let's just say by the end of the week, like, you need to take the trash out, you need to mow the lawn, you need to water the flowers and wash the cars. I don't give a heck how you do it. If you get an allowance and you pay somebody to come here and do it, that's being resourceful and being smart.
It's delegating.
Yeah, it's delegating
smart,
the task. Now,
and
follow the rules, because if I say vacuum, but nobody allowed in my house, you can't be like, oh, I paid this person to come in here. So you still have to do it within the rules and parameters of our life. But if I tell a kid, these are all the 5 things that you have to have done by Friday every week, and you get your allowance, and then you use a portion of your allowance, that's smart as hell.
Delegating, and it's identifying his weaknesses or her weaknesses, and hiring people to do them, or just understanding what I'm not willing to do. I don't want to cut no grass. So
I said the grass had to be cut. I ain't say you had to cut it. The cars had to be washed. I ain't say you had to wash it. But these are the things. So again, you can teach your child lessons in how to maneuver in life. Yes, they won't have those same street smarts and gain the same skills.
That's a good example, because they're learning the same lesson, but they're not. It's parallels. You had to sweat and cut the grass. They think to pay somebody to cut the grass. So they're learning the same lesson to get done what mom told them to get done. That's serious. They're also learning to delegate. They're also learning to identify their weaknesses. And it's all good. And they didn't have to sweat like you did.
Exactly.
So you did change.
You're teaching them to work smarter, not harder. The goal shouldn't be blood, sweat, and tears. Hustle when you need to hustle. But if you can find, I think I'm...
Just hustling's not a switch, though. It's either in you or it's not. So you can't say hustle when you need to hustle. But it's kind of broad. Like, you can't turn on hustle. Like,
but hustling doesn't always have to be hard, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Hustling don't mean, again, you got to get it from the mud. Learn how to hustle smarter, not harder. One of the things when I used to work with my grandma, she used to always say, it got to be a better way. Like, if she was doing something and it was long and drawn out, she would always say that. And to be honest, in my work life now, if it's something that's like, these reports is crazy, like whatever it is, I always think it gotta be a better way to do this. And usually it is. Now, sometimes, depending on the task, whatever it is what it is. But if you can teach your children that, again, you don't always have to do things the hard way. If you can find a better way to still achieve the same result, and you're not hurting anybody, it's not a detriment to yourself, you're teaching them a different lesson.
They thought outside the box.
Yeah.
So it's a plus for that.
It gotta be a better way.
Not always, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say that about life. It's gotta be a better way, but for the most people, you gotta get up and go to work and earn a living. Yeah. People say it every day. It's gotta be a better way. It's gotta be a better way, but You better
But it
start
could
working.
be.
It could
Maybe you
be.
work harder and get a promotion, or maybe you work harder and get another job.
All
Maybe
those
you take
things
a
factor
class
in.
and get a skill. So a better way doesn't mean it's going to always be an easier way, or it may take you putting forth some extra effort in order to be able to achieve that better way. But if you feel like something is too hard, then you should look for how to improve it. Not to make it easy, because that's the thing. You can't always look for things to be easy, but it shouldn't always be so arduous.
You don't think you should look at self first?
Yeah, and how you can improve. How can I do this differently?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, am I doing this the wrong way? Am I doing this the long way?
That was one of them things where you didn't say that, but
you're right.
You meant it.
It was implied, but you're right. Yeah.
But those words didn't say
right.
that. Let me ask you a question. What emotion do you have a problem controlling?
So what emotion do I have a problem controlling? I think it's I think it's probably sadness. I can't really but when I'm sad about something, I can't really like hide it or control it. It is what it is. I know what you would probably say about me, but it's not true.
What would I say?
Anger.
Okay.
But I do control my anger.
Definitely what it would be is anger for me.
For you?
For you to answer. You're right. So I have to answer that question too. What emotion do I have a problem controlling? It would have to be sadness.
Yeah. If I'm sad, I'm sad. I can't talk myself
sadness.
Out of that.
If I overthink it, and it's better for me if I feel my feels.
It's feels.
Always better for me if I feel my feels. It's bad for everybody if I don't feel my feels. So I want to feel my feels. I don't necessarily want to sulk and be in them. I just want to feel them and get on and move on to happiness. But I must feel my feels.
That's good. Yeah. A lot of people suppress so many feelings, and they don't feel them, or like when they show those commercials, and not to make fun, but like of people who are suffering from depression, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be suffering from depression, but when it shows the lady who she's sad in the inside, but she holds up the smiley face everywhere she goes. That's how
antidepressant commercial.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying everybody that's sad is depressed, but a lot of people go through life like that. They feel sad, but they always feel like they gotta smile, or they feel like
blues.
But they feel like they can't express themselves.
I didn't mean to laugh, but it's funny that they named it that. But it's kind of like.
Yeah, why is it that you feel more gray than anything? Why does it feel?
You feel blue.
But
feel beat
you
up.
like blue. Gray is bad for me.
Blue is bad, like the blues.
But think about a gray day.
It's sad. I like a gray day. I like the rain and I like gray. So if it was sun the day before and it rained the next day, I'm good with that. Now, if it rained for 14 straight days, I'm not good with that. But a gray day here and there.
You remember when it rained for 40 days and 40
It rained on Saturday and we stayed in the house. So a gray day is fine sometimes.
Too many gray days is like
in a row. It fucks with your psyche because you need some sun. Do you think your gut instinct is correct?
Yes, in most cases.
Do you remember when it wasn't?
Okay, so
And what the fuck make you think you're so special that your gut instinct is right all the time?
I didn't say all the time, but most of the time, yes. But see, the thing is this, though. You have to know when it's your gut instinct and your emotions. Because when it's your gut instinct, no matter how you try to talk yourself out of it, you're going to feel what you feel. But when it's your emotions, when it's like, I'm just being crazy. And I'm going to use this as an example. And you remember this, and people don't think I'm crazy. So... we talked about it very briefly. This is not like the topic of conversation, but being a victim of sexual abuse, I very often, I don't know, I just have like a suspicious feeling about when I see certain scenarios. So remember like the time we were in the park and there was this man who was there with his child or something. I knew where you
was going with this.
Yeah.
That's why I said it. Oh, geez.
And they like went in the woods well, like, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know it was like a shore on the other side of where like they can sit on this little sandy beach area and by the water and stuff.
Mind you,
And
this isn't the first time that we have encountered these kind of stories.
and I was ready to like go attack him. Like, why are you taking her in the woods? Like, but I know that's my emotions. That wasn't in my gut where I felt like he's doing something wrong to her. I knew that. So in those,
That's a good example.
yeah, in those moments, I know I have to be able to discern between my gut instinct and this ain't right. Something don't feel right about this. I like this situation is just iffy, or if it's like Tasha, you're being crazy. So that's when I feel like when it's my gut, it's usually right.
But most of the
When
time
it's my
you're being
emotion,
crazy,
then I have to know to separate the two.
so why most of the time you're being crazy?
I'm not.
Most of the time when we outside and you see those situations, you make a story up about something.
But I don't react on it though, because in those situations I know a lot of time it's my emotion and I just calm myself down. But I don't react on it as if it was my gut instinct,
You'd be
know,
on the phone
I would
with
be
police.
I'll be like, pull the car over, like I'm going to rescue her or him. And I don't act like that.
Do I think my gut instinct is always correct? Well, that's not the question. Do I think my gut instinct is correct? Not always. Yes. I have take pride in picking up bullshit, and I know when something is fishy.
Mm-hmm.
Walk like a duck, quack. Sound like a duck. It's a fucking duck. Call a spade a spade.
Do you let your emotions take over sometimes too?
I don't think so, but I can't remember a time where you can remind me?
What happened at the beach Sunday?
The beach Sunday. Oh, you did some dumb shit.
But no, let's talk about the beginning though. Was that your emotions or your gut instinct? The initiation of the question.
Well, okay, stop hitting the mic. Let's talk about it. So I fall asleep on the beach. I wake up.
We both fall asleep.
Okay,
yeah,
but
knocked out.
I wake up. I want to see what time it is. Both of our phones are in the bag. She has my code. I has hers. I grab the phone, look and see what time it is. Actually, you don't even need the code for that. Look and see what time it is. Also see she has a missed call by
2 missed calls. A man.
James Melvin. Who the fuck? I don't know who this is. So I ask her who James Melvin is. She says, I don't know, and puts her phone down. Like, so right there, I'm like, okay, that's not the end of that. It's just not, I don't know. Like, I'm your fucking husband. I need an explanation for the question I asked you. It's simple. I asked the question, just answer it. And then things started to escalate. So then, instead of you answering me, you call your sister and put her on speakerphone and let her talk about who she thinks James Melvin might be, which has nothing to do with me asking you a personal question why you got to get your sister on the phone. Then she hangs up with her and looks at me and says, did you hear that? Like, so okay. No. Am I lying so far?
No, but
okay, so let me finish.
Perspective.
You can't.
Okay.
Let me finish and then you can
okay.
go. And then she says, did you hear that? So my response is, fuck no, I didn't hear that. I don't want to hear that. I'm talking to you. Who is James Melvin? Just answer who it is. And if it's not, then let's find out who it is. So instead of her finding out who it is, I found out who it is, which in turn made me a little agitated because I felt like if I ask you who this person is and you don't know, then you should find the fuck out who it is and tell me. So, just as if you looked at my phone for the time and seen Shanika Watson called and you said, Jay, who is this? And I said, I don't know, and just sat the phone down. And then when I said, oh, it might be this person, let me call Rasheen and have him explain who it might be.
So you're leaving out some important factors. So first of all, we know in 2021, people names will show up. Like, you don't have to have a person name on your phone. If they call you, it's call ID, it'll show up. You get spam calls. People call you and they phone number.
Everybody knows this.
Their phone number will look like your phone number, like to trick you or something. So I'm asleep, mind you. I'm asleep. He wakes me up, and it was everything around me was weird because one,
She's
like
gonna
you
tell the
said,
same story I did.
but everything around us was weird because one, we were asleep on the beach. Two, he wakes me up, and everybody around us were different than when we went to sleep. So I wake up and I'm confused, like hell, like what the hell? But he didn't just like, he's like, Tosh, who's James Melvin? I'm waking up. And
it's still a question.
Listen, I'm giving perspective. I'm not changing what you said. So I'm startled because I was asleep. All these people are around me. It's somebody sat behind us on the beach, like literally as close as I am to this table. So it's just so many factors going on. In addition to the missed calls, this man also texted me. And the text said, can you tell Erica I'm trying to bring her phone, something like that. So I'm thinking about the calls. I'm looking at the text. Now, I didn't know, but again, I'm half asleep. I'm thinking it's the same person, which it did turn out to be, but the text didn't have a name. The calls did. I'm thinking, oh, this is the same person. Wait, let me finish. Rewind. A couple weeks ago, my sister got a brand new car. Shout out to her. Go A.
Shout out to E.
She got a brand new car. I found out she didn't even tell me this. I found out from my other sister when she got a car and traded in her other car. She traded in her old car. She had a phone that she used to just use. It wasn't like in use. She used to use it for like her radio. Okay. And an iPad or something like that. Long story short, I found out she had left them in the car. The car dealership said, oh, we don't know where they are. We couldn't find it, blah, blah. So when I seen these calls, I seen this text, I'm thinking it's the same person. He said, I'm trying to return the phone to Erica. I'm like, oh, this is the car dealership. Then I'm like, how did he get my number? Maybe she put me down as a reference. I don't know. But he said, I'm trying to get in contact with Erica. So I call her like, hey, this man, this phone, and she's like, yeah, I don't really know because again, some more details. This man had emailed her pictures of herself from the phone, emailed our other sister. So we all are kind of confused. I'm trying to get the details from her, just having woke up on the beach. So again, I put the phone down and he's like, I thought he heard her. Again, not realizing she's on speakerphone, but it's the beach, it's loud, you can't really hear. I didn't even think about all
I wasn't trying to hear. I was talking to you. I was wondering why you made a phone call.
Because he's of the text message. So I was thinking to myself, this is all related to her. And mind you, these texts were like 2 hours ago from when we saw the calls and the text 2 hours ago from when we saw it. So I'm thinking, okay, and all this time he said he was going to meet her at 3:00. It's 5:00 at this time.
You're losing the people.
No,
they're
keeping up. Y'all keeping up with me, right?
No, it ain't.
Okay. So
get to the story.
The point was his expectation. When I said I didn't know who it was, like I really didn't know who it was. So he wanted me to call,
find out.
He wanted me to call and find out.
Who am I?
You're my husband.
Okay, I ain't your boyfriend. Find out.
In my mind, I'm thinking I don't know who it is. I don't care who it is. He probably ain't calling for me. It's a scam. Not a scam. Like those spam calls. That was my thought. So we go back to your initial thought. Was it emotion or gut instinct?
It was neither one. It was me asking a question. Your response triggered emotion. That's what happened. People can follow that out there if they're listening to the story. Initially, there was no emotion, no gut. It was just, hey, T.
No, there was emotion. No, it wasn't, just, hey, T.
No, okay, it wasn't like, that. It
Tosh,
was, okay, Tosh, who is this? Again, there's no fucking men that call your phone for you. So I was asking, who is this? Period. It doesn't matter. Tell me who it is, and if you don't know, find the fuck out who it is. Ladies out there, if that was your husband and it was a girl name on his phone and he just said simply, I don't know, does that fly? Like, am I on Mars or something? Does that fly? No, it doesn't.
But for me, it would. If you were like, first of all, who's the man Gary that been texting your phone about?
That's Gary with 2 R's, and he be talking about fucking condoms and dick pills and shit like that. So but you know that's an infomercial.
But that's what I'm saying. So in this moment, I didn't. Gary text him all the time, and again, it says Gary.
Her response triggered
and he
emotion.
Don't know who Gary is. He got a brother named Gary, but this is Gary with 2 R's.
Yeah, but we know that this is a infomercial. Like,
So
this
in my
people text
mind,
everybody.
I was thinking a lady called me probably 2 weeks ago. I still don't know who it is. Her name showed on my caller ID. I didn't know who it was. I didn't answer. She didn't even voice my. Didn't call
Not
back.
trying to be
Still don't know
disrespectful,
who she is.
but fuck all that shit. I don't care about no lady. Answer the question when I ask you. Plain and simple. That's the relationship, the expectation that I have between us. I ask you a question, answer it. If you can't, do your best to find out how to answer it. And when you made me find out, that's what triggered emotion.
Okay.
Okay? So that's how.
And who was he?
He was in hindsight, he was the man trying to get her back her phone. But again, it bothered me in a sense of, here we go with the boundary thing again. You married. Why the fuck is your sister giving your phone?
But that wasn't
the case, but let me finish. That's how I took it. Like, why the fuck is your sister giving some man your number? Like, this is what I'm talking about. There's got to be a fucking line. She's a married woman. How does that look? Where whatever the fuck y'all doing,
so you owe
giving
Erica
some
an
man.
apology.
I didn't come at Erica. I was going to, but once we find out the information, then everything calmed down.
Yeah. He was
so that's what that
in her phone, texting people. He wasn't really an ex, but some guy that she used to talk to at the beginning. Like, this was weird. You find somebody's phone.
Babe, they don't give a fuck about that dude. I gotta get on to the next question. They don't give a fuck about that dude.
It was weird, but she got the phone back that she didn't even need anymore. But that's who James Melvin was.
Fuck James Melvin. Don't give a fuck about James Melvin. Do you have a reoccurring dream?
Not as an adult, no. That would scare me as an adult, I think. Sometimes when I do have very vivid dreams.
Reoccurring.
Can I not elaborate on my answers?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. That's my answer. I don't.
You don't have no reoccurring dreams?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
I did. I used to have reoccurring dreams of me fighting and couldn't fight. Like, you know how people say you try to swing punches and it don't feel right. I used to always dream about falling too, and I never really looked into, like, to me that's like, I don't want to disrespect nobody, but it's like black magic voodoo stuff, like looking up dreams and what they mean and following that stuff.
I do look up dreams though.
I don't like it. I don't think it's Christ-like.
Just don't. Wow. You might be. Well, so, okay, you said you used to. In that case, when I was younger, I always had this same dream. My grandma used to live in Abbotsford Projects, and I can picture it to this day. I don't even know if it still looks like that, but the way it used to look. She used to live 3233 D. McMichael Street. When you used to come up the hill, you had to turn into her, it was like a wall, and then you turned into her parking lot. Well, I used to always have this dream that I was running up the hill, turn into the parking lot, and be running in the house, and a dog would be chasing me. And I've always been terrified of dogs ever since I seen Cujo as a kid. A dog would be chasing me, and then when I got to the door, I would fall and be like trying to like crawl my way in, and a man would be pulling my leg to pull me out. So that was a recurring dream I used to have as a kid, but as an adult, I think it would really freak me out if I had the same dream over and over. I don't.
So no. Don't.
No. Now, if my answers are real short, he'll be saying, won't you elaborate? Give the people some conversation. Give the people some context.
I just was checking to make sure it was no. That's all.
No.
Oh, you always gotta take shit personally.
I don't. As an adult, I had that dream was like I was a kid.
A kid or a teenager?
No, I was younger than
like
a teenager.
Under 10?
Yeah, I was younger than a teenager.
This
Can I have some water?
This might, yeah, because you need a little something. This might be something that you're not married tonight. It's cool. Don't even answer.
I'm married
Your
every
action
night.
Show.
Oh, wow.
Your action show. The people see. They ask the question. Damn, like, okay, whatever. Would you say your family is dysfunctional?
Yes.
Why?
Whew, that's another episode. Like, do my answer have to be short?
Well, it can't be a fucking half hour.
Yes, my family is dysfunctional. There's a lot of, I think dysfunction comes
Just be concise and go to the point. Go ahead.
Probably can get there faster if I'm not cut off.
Yep.
I think dysfunction comes into play when things don't work, don't function properly. Meaning there's honesty, there's kindness, there's communication, there's love, there's trust. When any of those things break, I think that causes dysfunction. So
this dysfunction is just none of those things you just named?
Say it again.
None of those things you just named, the kindness, love, and trust and all that, that's what's broken.
Not all of them. I think
that's what I was asking.
I think when any of those things are broken in a relationship, it's dysfunction. It causes dysfunction. Yes.
Gotcha.
So I think in our family, there's some honesty, there's some trust, there's communication, all of those things. There's kinks in the chain, which causes them. It's like a bicycle chain. Everything gotta. It goes like this, not circle. Everything got to run smooth in order, any kinks in the chain, the bike isn't going to function properly. So our family, it definitely.
Or it might ride, but the chain gonna keep coming off.
Yeah, it's gonna keep kinking. You're gonna have to keep stopping. You might fall off. You might have to walk the bike a little bit. You might have to, you go back home and start over, get it fixed, take it to the repair shop. Like, yeah, there's some kinks in the chain.
Get a new inner tube. I ain't said that word in a long time, so I just wanted to say inner tube.
Inner tube? That's something you like.
On a bike, you still have to get your patches.
But you wanted to say it like it'd be on the tip of your tongue. Like, I just can't wait to use inner tube in a sentence.
When you were saying bike, it popped into my head when you were saying the parts of the bike to fix.
I just want to digress a little bit. Are there any slang terms like when you hear like the young kids say, you be like, I can't wait to like use that in a sentence somewhere. No. Like, no cat.
No. No. Absolutely.
Shout out to my girl Kelly, because she'll say something. She'll like post something like, I can't wait to use such and such in a sentence. Like, All right, that was a quick little digression. What about you?
Hell yeah.
Your family's dysfunctional,
yeah,
really?
It's dysfunctional.
Wow.
We got bad, broken relationships. We got parents that don't talk to children. We got parents that lied on children's daddies. We got
love, communication, trust, respect was another one. Respect, honesty, loyalty. It's kinks in those chains.
Yeah,
and some, maybe not all of them, but some of them.
Probably all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dysfunctional. Just like a million other families. It ain't like we looking for some sympathy or something, but just asking the question. Yeah, and those are the reasons why.
Do you feel like people too often just accept that as a societal norm and they don't really make an effort to change it? Like, that's one of the generational curses that I want to break.
In African American culture, in our households we grew up in, the pedophile was Uncle Ronnie. He was in the back room. They still took him a plate. All problems of the family, you swept under the rug. They actually told kids, what happens in the house stays in the house. You don't even tell the fucking teacher. So when you taught to keep shit in like that, yeah, hell yeah.
But you do think it's a problem,
that's a problem.
Like that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the generational curses I want to break. Like, let's sit and talk. Family meetings, family therapy. Like, let's get it
Black
out. Somebody
don't want to face
do something wrong to you. You let it be known. Like, we don't sweep nothing under the rug. You feel disrespected. You don't feel loved. You feel like there's some unfairness. There's some boundaries being crossed. Like, I don't want our next generation growing up with the same thing that generations before us have carried along. It's not healthy.
But you gotta stand on that. If you had 3-4 kids, ages 5 to 13, you gotta stand on them saying, I feel disrespected.
Yeah.
I feel upset, or I don't like the way you said this to me. Like, you gotta stand on that. If you can't be like, what the fuck, you get the fuck out of here just because you're aggravated at that moment. You gotta stand on that kind of parenting and teaching.
Parents don't feel like...
I was about to say, just watch what you say about parents. I don't want you to say nothing bad or nothing.
Well, I'm a child of parents.
Okay.
Parents, I think one of the problems that creates dysfunction in families, specifically in parental-child relationships, is parents feel like they don't owe their children an apology. Or it's like, who are you? And even if you're 5, like, there is something, you may mishandle a situation with a 5-year-old. You might have had a bad day and you come home and you holler at them, and it's like, you reacted wrongly, but how often will a parent really come back and be like, Kiki, earlier today when I came home, he was asking me this, that, and the other, and mommy had a real rough day today, and I reacted in a way that I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have hollered at you like that, or I shouldn't have shut you down when you asked me a question.
That's not gonna happen. That's
But it
today,
should.
and that's what we learned today. But parents, number one, they're conditioned not to explain themselves to their kids. That's just how you grew up. I'm sure you grew up like that. This is just what it is. Like when you hear like, okay, we eat different things. Like back in the day, what was put on the table was dinner. That's what you ate. There wasn't no fucking I don't want that, or mom making
this kid don't
three
eat
different
that,
things or four different things. Like that shit happens now, but before it was like, okay, this is what it is. You didn't break the line, you didn't cross the line, you didn't, you didn't make the war dramatic.
I know I ain't a parent. I ain't never birthed one, but I have enough kids in my life that I love, and I want them to always know that they are loved and that they're respected. Kids deserve respect too. It's not just you respect me because I'm the adult. We have to respect them too. Respect their emotions. Respect their feelings. Ask, are you upset with me? Let's talk about it. What are you upset for? I may not apologize because you're entitled to your feelings. It don't mean that I was wrong or that I would have done things differently. But that's how you teach children how to express their feelings and not be balled up. And now they beating people up because they mad, and that's the only way they know how to get their anger out, because nobody gives them the platform to speak. I ain't birthed no kids, but I love enough to want to just be different than how I was raised, and I've seen so many of us adults raised.
That's a fine line. I agree with you. Let me just say that, but that's a fine line because I still think you need some discipline with the
Definitely.
I don't want to just put that out there like let's just shift from no discipline.
Oh no,
to just talking.
It ain't no spare to ride. Like
because
I definitely believe in
person
discipline.
from experiencing you too. You came across some people that said some shit to you that you should have listened to, and you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't. So that happens, and you can have all this game and all this shit you want to tell these young kids, but if they don't fucking listen, they don't listen.
Yeah, but I think from a young age, children, we just have to do things differently. And I think, we mentioned this before. One of the things starting the episode, we talked about the violence in the street. And I'm not saying I have no cure or no fix-it plan, but one of the things where I felt like we've gone wrong as a society, probably a couple generations back, is just leaving kids to find their own way. And I think part of that was because so many parents were finding their own way. And it's like, I'm trying to make it for myself. Let me get myself together while their kids were growing up. Now it's time for their kids to get themselves together. We talked about, like, even in terms of religion, if your parents grew up in the church, you were made to go to church. I have friends growing up that were Muslim. They were made to be Muslim. They covered, they, went to Juma and the mosque and all that. You didn't have that choice. Like, you weren't, in the house running the streets while your mom was leaving for church. And I'm not saying church fixes it all, but setting a foundation with these children, it helps to start to build those morals and ethics and values so that they have some kind of core beliefs. Kids were really left to, discover it on your own, find your own,
Our generation of parents they didn't have it.
Yeah.
They didn't have it. That wasn't the generation that tried to better themselves.
And yes, as children, you do have to find yourself and develop, who you are. But it's some parental and adult influence that helps that. But if your mom and your dad trying to find themselves while you trying to find yourself, they don't have time or room in their life to help you build who you are. It's just, it's sad. I hope at some point we get back to that family system. Not to say it wasn't broken in other ways, but where there's some values that are built in, where I just, again, y'all know I don't have to keep saying I'm not a parent. But I never understood how a parent can go to church or the mosque or Buddha or wherever the heck you go in terms of religion, because you feel like that's the right path for your life and that grounds you and that's what you're supposed to do, and you don't take your kids.
Because you're individuals. I get that. I mean, I get what you're saying too. You want to introduce your children to something, But you also, on the other hand, want them to be who they want to be.
No, I'm talking about if you got kids that's like 5 to 10, like you, who they are going to be is influenced by you. Not saying you're going to
I'm
make
not
them
saying
who they
any
are.
of that, but that's what I am saying. You're not. It doesn't matter. You can influence them. It matters. You can take them to church when they're 5. But what I'm saying is you can't push religion on anybody. It's not like that applies as adults but doesn't apply as a kid. Like, we're all individuals, and this kid, your kid may grow up to be Muslim. That may work for his life or her life or what grounds them or what they need to do, or Jewish or whatever. You can't just be like, oh, that's like having the mindset of, you're my kid, I want what's good for you, this is what you're going to be. So I'm gonna start putting. It's like the Chinese. You're gonna go to school and be a mathematician and an architect, like, because we said so. Like, no, you gotta let people grow into who they want to be. Just like you can say, okay, you do good and you a super kid at 5. You going to college. Kid may graduate 12th grade and be like, fuck college. I don't want to do that.
I agree
Everything
with that
ain't for everybody.
Sense,
like, we're all individuals.
In terms of
and
religion,
your kid's going to grow up to be an individual, and he has to make his own way in life. She has to make her own way in life and make choices about what religion they want to follow. Not, again, it's like the girl was saying when she went to pick a party, and it was like, you go down to pick a Democrat or Republican, and they kind of they tell you already, because it's like, oh, you black, you got to pick Democrat. Like, don't I have a choice here? Like, I am a person too, but just because I'm young, you're trying to tell me what to do first.
Yeah, in terms of religion, I am trying to tell you again. That's
again,
where
you can feel that way. I acknowledge that. I
building a
disagree.
Foundation. Like, you don't just tell a child, oh, find your way. Yes, they may change their mind, but at least you help them. That's like, okay, if you want your child to play sports, you may start them off in basketball and they realize, I don't really like this. Okay, they may want to try football, but at least you try to build a foundation somewhere within them where you give them some guidance. Like, yeah, it's not like, I'll figure it out when you get there.
Then I think you put all that on the table. If they're a certain age, again, it's one thing. I agree with you on that part. If they're young kids, but at a certain age, you have to allow them to make their choices. They may not be into the Bible. They may not be into the Quran. They may not be into religion at all. They may be atheists when they get older. You don't know. That's all I'm saying. I
understand that, but it's a parent's responsibility to instill that in children. Now, when you become old enough to make your own decision and you change your mind, that's fine. But if I feel like this is right for my life, why wouldn't I feel like this is right for my kid's life?
As a kid, I'm gonna grow up and feel like, okay, now this decision weighs on me. I don't want to hurt my mom because she put this decision in me. But this shit don't work for me. But she so want me to be this that I don't want to hurt her feelings. Like, you can think like that, but I just don't agree with it at all. Like, at a certain age, you got to let people be who they are. And I believe in the whole foundation thing. I don't know if religion is necessarily tied to that at a young age, but I believe in the whole foundation thing. But you can't just be like, you're going to be this, because that's just going to break your heart when he ends up being whoever he wants to be and not a Christian anymore, and you've been taking him to church since he was 5.
Yeah,
like, allow him to be who he is. It's going to hurt less, but he's a man. She's a woman. They got to make their own choices.
It's your child. It's your responsibility. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misspeak, but in the Bible it says it's your responsibility up to the age of 12 for that child. And I think at 12 is where, like, they're kind of on their own, but you're supposed to instill that foundation in
I
them.
Agree with you with young kids. Okay, if that's the age, if
it's 12, 16, you can't be like, come on,
no,
you going to church.
12,
it's kind of late.
Then that's the break off age. I'm fine with that. If your kids are 5 and shit like that, you take it, but they running around under the fucking pews anyway. They're not sitting there.
But that's the beginning. You're in kindergarten. They taking naps and digging up their nose, but they still have to.
But if
start
12
to
is
build
the break
that
off
foundation.
age, and you say, okay, let's go to church Sunday, and they're like, nah, I ain't going. I don't like church. Never did. I ain't doing that no more.
In my
then
house,
you
you're
just
still
accept
going.
it. So again, I disagree. That's crazy. You'll be a mom that they would like want to stab in your sleep,
or they could just love the Lord,
or they could not.
Okay.
Right?
We can agree to disagree.
You just said they could love the Lord. I
Yeah, but
agree
I
with you.
just don't want to assume that it would be a negative response to it.
Why? When you know it could be.
It definitely could be.
You act like I'm saying you. That makes no sense. You know everybody on the planet ain't Christian and don't love the Lord. So
But
obviously
I
there's
think
some
you
people who
increases
wouldn't
their
accept it.
chances in them having that and them having those beliefs by introducing them at an earlier age than them trying to, be 30 trying to find their way.
Okay. I'm okay. I disagree, but okay. Um, 3 grams. That's my play on my new segment. It's 3 things from the gram. 3 grams.
Oh, I'm like, well, I thought you was asking what was 3 grams equal to.
No,
I just
but
say,
they used to sell weed in 3 grams, like
what's that, like nickel bag?
a heavy blunt worth. No, a nickel bag's a nickel bag. That's like half gram.
Wow. Okay.
I saw this on the gram. I thought it was funny. Pick a fruit.
Pick a fruit, pineapple.
Yeah.
Oh.
You gotta relax, like Nori said.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Strawberry, coconut, grape, or pear. Strawberry, you'll find your soulmate. Coconut, you can speak to someone who passed away once. Grapes, 50,000 deposited instantly. Pear, you'll have a perfect health.
I would say pear.
Pear.
Yeah, perfect health that's invaluable.
I would go with pear too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would go with pear. I thought you was gonna go with coconut.
I thought about
said it,
that.
I was like, she gonna say Shirley.
Yeah, but speaking to her one time, like, yeah, that might be more heartbreaking than anything.
Doesn't say how long.
I was about to say, as long as I don't go to sleep, like, be sitting there like we ain't done.
Get you some Coke, and you can go to stay up.
You won't even take me to Colombia.
Snort some lines and talk to Shirley.
Say sorry, like tell the people we don't really do drugs.
We don't. I'm just saying, we can get you some butter, and you can go to town.
Yeah, I would take perfect health.
All right, saw this too. I jotted this down, but so just bear with me. Let me try to get this out. You may have saw it, but I thought it was fun. I don't know if I'm being petty here or not, but I feel like I'm not. Ex-husband is remarried, kids with his new wife. She owns a business that makes $1 million a year. He works and pays $900 a month in child support. She asked for more. He told her that their accounts are separate. They're not together. She wants to take him and the wife to court to get the max for the kid. Husband's in the Army. Mom works from home and she's struggling. Thoughts?
So, from a human element, from a human aspect and from a legal aspect, if she take him to court, and I don't know if this is true in all states, I know it's true in California, I think in Pennsylvania, nevertheless, they're going to look at that couple as a household and like, what is your income together? And I don't think that's always fair for the new wife, let's just say that. But then looking at it from a human aspect, as the new wife, okay, let's say we're millionaires, I know you're sending your child some child support. I would want to make sure that your child is okay. Like, I wouldn't want to penny pinch your child, and making sure.
So if you're giving $900 a month for one kid, and that's what the court says the first time, you want to go, and your ex-wife want to revisit court just because you married a millionaire, then.
I mean, again, so as a wife, I mean, hopefully if I was your new wife, maybe we can keep it out the courts and look, we can make sure that the child is all right and the mom is not going to have that need. Now, looking at it from the baby mom aspect, how dare you? Like that, you ain't have a baby by that
you
woman.
You go after that lady money.
Yeah, you don't have a lady. I mean, again, in the courts, they would look at it like that.
You take that nigga to court, you going to come back with $40 a month.
Or not. Like you take
$900 a month for a kid.
But depending on when that child support was established, if it just looked at his income. Now that they're married and it looks at both, she probably could get a substantial
he's
increase.
In the Army and he don't make $1 million a year. She runs a business where she makes $1 million a year. He married her. I understand it's one. I get that. I'm acknowledging that. But is that fucking right?
No, I don't think
Like,
it's
why
right.
go after that lady money?
I don't think it's right. Like, she shouldn't
Like,
go
he's
after
been
that
paying you
lady's money.
$900 a month on his own. He in the army, paying you, making good money, paying you your child support. But because you struggling a little bit because you on your own and I'm married, you feel like you want to take me to court again because now you know legally you'll get more. Not necessarily from me, but from my
From
wife.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think she should do that. That's unfair to think of it that way. As the wife, I would want to make sure your child was okay. But as the baby mom, I'm not coming after another woman's money.
Right. That's foul. I think that's foul. We in the on the same boat with that. Last story. Rachel Nichols story.
So yeah. Go I mean you wanna like brief everybody on it.
This is going around the whole internet.
Mm-hmm.
She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need or to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your like crappy long time record on diversity, which by the way I myself like know personally from the female side of it, like go for it. Just, find it somewhere else. Like you're not gonna find it with me. If you need to. Think about it. Just forget to have a black woman put you in a prominent spot and feel like, okay, the hard work is done. We're not. And you certainly don't make a say, okay, you have a white woman, you have a woman in a critical seat. And now that we're going to put a black woman in that case, the question is, what are the other seats that white males are in? Yeah, that should be under consideration. I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need or to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your like crappy long time record on diversity, which by the way.
So I don't. You gotta
to
summarize because I don't know what that means. I couldn't.
Rachel Nichols works for the NBA. She's a GOAT in the NBA as far as being an announcer.
Okay, I need some context to this. Rachel Nichols, black or white?
White.
Okay.
You've seen her before, blonde hair lady, and she put on Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Tracy McGrady, a couple other people in the studio with her. Okay. Maria Taylor, new black lady, dope as shit, kind of like a Carrie Champion doing her thing. So they suggested to Rachel Nichols that she should do the sideline, the job in the finals instead of being in the studio and talking. And she was implying that they're asking me to do the sideline job to free up my chair for Maria Taylor to move in. Then they won't let me back in. And she's saying that if you try to give her the job because of your crappy diversity record, do it elsewhere, not with me. And she declined. Right or wrong?
So I think she's right. Like, she's protecting her job. And I think she's also coming at the organization and saying
ESPN.
Okay, she's coming at ESPN and saying y'all trying to fill a quota like so many companies have. Nah, you ain't using my job to do it.
Y'all
Find
fucked over the
somewhere else.
diversity thing that, and she said, you didn't hear, she was like, and I know firsthand being a woman here, the diversity is shitty, but now you're trying to move me out my seat just for the finals and put her in it, and then I can't get back in my seat, and no, I'm not doing that.
No, I don't blame her. She's protecting her job.
Right.
So I think, so I kind of seen some comments about this and people saying that Maria Taylor, I didn't know the names, but her saying that she was a diversity hire. We're not within the organization, so she knows Rachel Nichols. She knows better than us. She knows the game. Well, again, she may not have had street smarts, but she knows the game.
The Jamil Hill thing happened and all that with the George Floyd stuff. They weren't new hires. It was like 6 new black girls. So that statement is right. She was a diversity hire.
So she's trying to protect her job and saying, nah, I know the game.
That she isn't good. She's dope as shit, Maria Taylor. She does her job well.
I get it, but from Rachel Nichols' standpoint, she peeps game, and she's saying, no, y'all trying to send me out there to be in the field, which means somebody's going to have to fill this position. Why am I going to put myself in a position to let somebody that is knowingly, she does a great job, fill this seat, and let's say she increases the ratings or she just does a great job, then it's like, you know what, we're gonna keep her here. So now I'm SOL because y'all were trying to protect y'all brand to show that y'all have this diverse ethnic community of reporters. No, I'm not giving up my seat willingly. Okay. No, if you were giving me the choice. No,
she does have the choice. She declined and she said, I don't know what their next move is.
Yeah, no, if you're going to fire me and do it, hey, make your move. But if you're giving me the choice, I'm not going to help y'all look better and potentially lose my job.
Last night, there's been no reports about this since it happened. This is an old recording too. This was when the finals was about to start. Like they talked about this. Last night, game 1, Maria Taylor's doing the
sideline.
Doing
the show.
Studio, yeah, on the TV.
Where's Rachel Nichols?
Wasn't on. I didn't see the sideline. I don't think she was on the sideline. She declined.
So I mean, so
maybe they made the move to just say, okay, we gave you the choice. You didn't choose what we wanted you to, so we're going to just move you.
Okay, and so that's your choice. So now, who knows? Maybe they, I don't know if she's been fired or anything like that, or let go. You know, she'll get a severance pay or something.
But you don't think it's a racial thing? She just was protecting her brand and her job.
Absolutely, and I think what we have to stop doing as Black
race
people,
to everything.
Attaching race, because it was a race thing for the company, but not like a racial discrimination thing. But for her, I don't think she was being racist or racially degrading to Maria Taylor. From a human element, I don't care if the person is purple. If I know they're just as good as me and you're like, hey, can you let such and such do your job for a little bit and you go over here and do it? Like, no, because one, I don't really want that job. I like this job and I know she's good. So that potentially I could not get my job back. Now, if I don't have a choice, I don't have a choice. So right. I think that's a human business decision that she made. Not like, again, I don't think she was being racially degrading to that woman.
I don't think she was being racially degrading to, and I premised that by saying she put on Matt Barnes, she put on Steven Jackson, Tracy McGrady, all 3 Black people. Yeah. So she,
she was protecting her brand.
Yeah. She's a white lady, so I'm sure her mother-in-law is Diane Sawyer.
Okay.
Her father was some so a lot of people think her position and where she is in broadcasting is privileged because of who her family is.
That's like you think about a football player, right? And you have, I'm just gonna, Aaron Rodgers, and they're like, hey, Aaron, for this next play, won't you
They don't like that. I know what they don't like that shit.
Yeah,
like, come out and let this person
throw. No, if you're telling me this is a decision that you're making and I don't have a choice, right, then okay, I don't have a choice. But if you're asking me, let's just give him a chance. What if he gets up there and he gets,
first 7 touchdowns, and
I ain't getting my spot back. Yep. So if you're telling me this is the decision that you're making, then fine. But if you're giving me the choice to give this person an opportunity, I don't want to vie for my position right now. This is mine. So I don't feel like, going up and competing against her right now.
Right.
It's kind of almost like, what's the word? Like a big up to her because she knows, she good. It's a potential. I don't think she gonna come in this seat and bomb and they not gonna want her. It's a potential she can do really well and y'all not gonna want her.
And she's recognizing the fact that y'all trying to do some diversity shit here, and she's a Black woman and she's dope.
Yeah, and you have a lot of companies.
The optics might look, I'm just trying to save my job.
And this might be against popular opinion. I feel like, when people talk about affirmative action and that, so affirmative action is important because it enforces companies that would not necessarily give Black people a chance and makes them have to. But as a Black person, I don't particularly want a job where somebody is hiring me because of affirmative action or to fill a quota.
That's why I think it doesn't work.
Yeah, because
it shouldn't be. Because you're Black and you just said it, and I'm sure I feel that way. Like, I know why they put it in place. I know why it's there because, like you said, there could be racist companies that have a strict line of not hiring Black and brown people. So you must. But I don't want that job.
Yeah, but everybody doesn't feel like us. And for some people, they can come in and potentially change. So if somebody got to be that first in there to hopefully change the dynamics of things. But I don't want that to be the only reason. Now, so in some cases, you will never know. You
If
got
you're
this
the
job.
one in there amongst all of them, they just gonna make it miserable for you. It ain't like you're gonna be so good that they gonna all of a sudden look at you like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
But
how they think is how they think, which is why they didn't want you there in the beginning.
Right, but
now this
at the same
government
time,
shit says you have to hire them. They're like, all right, bring them in here, bring her in here.
yeah, but at the same time, you have to think you would hope not everybody is of that same mindset. So hopefully you being there can effectuate some change in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when it comes to affirmative action, yeah, it forces companies to have to hire us, because just imagine if it wasn't, how many people...
You're right. That's why I said I know why it's there. I know why it's in place,
so
because you can have a
people
place to say, I'm not renting to people, I'm not hiring people, I'm not black people. Like, no. And you would have white companies forever.
So you need to effectuate some change, even if it's forcibly. But me personally, I know that I can go up against anybody for a job that I'm qualified for, and I'm confident to stand on my own and be able to get this position if it's for me. Now, if I don't get it, I would like to believe that person, maybe they deserved it more, or they earned it more, their qualifications were better, but sometimes I just may not get it because I'm brown, and it is what it is.
So if you went up against a black girl or a white woman for the same job that you thought you was qualified for, and say it was like analytical or whatever, and you lost that job, you would feel like that white woman or that black girl was just a tad bit better.
Well,
at the position, or more qualified.
Or maybe she just performed better in the interview. Maybe she knew the things to say that I did.
Whatever, all the variables, she got the job over you, so she did better to get the job. Mm-hmm. If it was an Asian person, like how there's companies that have to hire Asian people, and like they get jobs over people. They're smart, and if it's analytical and stuff like that, they're good at stuff like that. Do you feel like, as good as you think you are, would you feel like intimidated by an Asian person that was coming from MIT or something? And you were like, and you know people, so say you were applying for a job that you wasn't necessarily on paper qualified for, but somebody was like, Tasha should be in this position. And you was going up against Sing Wing, who graduated from MIT and was super fucking smart. And I know you think you intelligent, but you're not MIT intelligent.
You don't know how
no shade, babe. I love you.
That was shady. I feel the palm trees blowing in the wind.
No shade. I'm just saying, you know that. I know you're not going to go in there and feel like inferior.
Right.
Would it cross your mind that it could be a little intimidation? Like, this bitch is from MIT. She's smart than a motherfucker.
I mean, it could be, because I've been placed in some positions that on paper I knew I didn't qualify for, but I knew that if given the chance I could learn it. So I never feel, and you always say I read something, I heard something. Sometimes we don't always have to be humble, and it's okay to pat yourself on the back. I know when it comes to work and doing my job, I'm the shit. I know I can hold my own. If I don't know something, I'm going to learn it, and I can hold it down. But I also know other people can do too. Now, I know sometimes companies make bad decisions. I did not get a job that I applied for twice before. And then eventually I was given the job. Like, we're promoting you to this position. You applied for it twice before, and we denied you. And I knew I was qualified for the position. And then it came back, and one of the people who had interviewed me the second time, I ended up having to work with that person. And they were like, they literally said to me, I'm sorry, like, I didn't know what you could do. And I had to take a look back at myself, like, was my resume not up to par? Did I not present myself in a certain way? Was I too confident that I didn't try hard enough to convey to them what I can do? Because it was like I was in my head knowing I could do it, so I didn't really try to encourage them or impress upon them how that I really could. So I again, I know my abilities, I know what I can do, and sometimes it just ain't timing. So to answer your question, I might feel like on paper, but if given that job, I can do as good of a job as she, if given the opportunity. And sometimes that's what it is for us brown people. We have to just be given the opportunity.
Sing Lee can do Math 50, you can't.
might have to count on my fingers, but we can get to the same answer.
Man, 50 ain't numbers. That's how hard it is.
I don't want no job with us required.
That's a wrap. Act 2 the podcast, episode 26. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love. Comment. Appreciate y'all engaging in the questions. Hood healer. Couple more words. Wouldn't hurt. You know, no. Wouldn't hurt. Just saying. But I
Queen
appreciate
Castle always is participatory.
Talking here. So just keep going. We gonna keep going. Appreciate the engagement. Gonna think of some more questions that y'all can engage with. Comment, share, like, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. God willing, we'll be here next week. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you don't. You should. You should. Peace.